He's joining me now. Congressman Todd Akin, the GOP nominee for the United States Senate in the state of Missouri, joins me here on the Mike Huckabee Show. Congressman, thank you for being here. Good to have you.
Mike, thank you so very much for once again allowing me to join you and your wonderful audience. And just right off the bat, to start things out, Mike, I want to make things absolutely clear, and that is we are going to continue with this race for the U.S. Senate. We've given it a lot of thought, and the first thing we felt we had to do was we had offended some people, and we tried to respond to that and let people know that we didn't mean anybody or to take in any way rape anything less than very, very seriously. But following that, I've had a chance now to have run through a primary, and the party people said, when you win the primary, then we'll be with you. Well, they were with us, but then I said one word and one sentence on one day, and everything changed. So now we're kind of back to where we were in the primary. But, you know, I tell you, I've been so encouraged by good friends who are closer than brothers. And I realize now that there are a lot of other brave hearts who don't fit into the political parties exactly. And I believe the defense of the unborn and a deep respect for life, which underlie all of America, those are important parts of who we are. And they're not things to run away from. And, I agree with the many people in the party. It's absolutely appropriate to speak of the Obama-McCaskill-induced crisis of jobs and the economy, but it's also appropriate to recognize a creator God whose blessings of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is the very source of American freedom. And that part of the message, I feel, is missing, and I think that that's something that we need to encourage people and to let people remember in their hearts what it is that makes America such a great nation. And life is very much part of that whole thing. And that's the reason why we're going to continue, because I believe there is a cause here, and that there is a part of the message that's missing, and a lot of people feel left out of the parties.
Congressman Todd Akin is joining me here on the Mike Huckabee Show, and he has now announced he is staying in the race. And there's been a lot of speculation. Congressman, I'm holding in my hand a statement from Dr. Jack Wilkie. People across the country in the pro-life movement know who Dr. Wilkie is, founder of the National Right to Life organization, and maybe the most respected right to life leader. And this statement, we'll get this up on our website so people can see it, and we'll try to get that done here in the next little while. But one of the comments he makes, he says, if you don't think that people can make false claims of rape, we need to look no further than Norma McCorvey, the Roe versus Wade. That infamous abortion decision responsible for the deaths of more than 55 million babies was based on that very lie. Not very legitimate, if you ask me. Of course, Representative Akin never used the word legitimate to refer to the rapist, but rather false claims like those made in the Roe case. The firestorm has been enormous. And, Congressman, one of the things that has shocked me is the degree to which Republican leaders publicly have called upon you to step out of the race. And so I just want to ask you, you're almost all alone in this. You've got the chairman of the RNC, chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, the Senate Majority Leader, both people on the presidential ticket, both Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, almost every major conservative pundit and columnist in the country, all saying you should get out. So how do you answer those who say, well, why would you go against that army and battery of people?
Well, it's because of the fact that, as I've said before, I believe that there's something that we're missing here. There's something that many Americans in their heart of hearts feel that we need to be talking about. And it's not just the, quote, abortion issue. It's the whole significance of the idea that our Creator blessed us with the idea of life. And there's so many examples of Americans that it's not a philosophical kind of thing. It's the way they act. When the rescue worker goes into the towers, the blazing tower of September 11th, he grabs a lady in the wheelchair, doesn't check her ID to see if she's important. He just grabs her and takes her out and runs back for more people because of the fact in America it's deeply ingrained in our hearts that a respect for human beings and a respect for life is just part of our culture. Of course, that's why the fire department, the police department, and the doctors do their thing because they understand that. And that's the beginning foundation of who we are as a people. And my sense is that maybe the parties and the Republican Party needs to include that as part of their message as well. And likewise, the ideas about liberty and the pursuit of happiness, the fact that we're created by God for some special purpose, and the ways that freedom is being stolen from us by Obama and Claire McCaskill, by forcing government mandated health care, which people of our state, 71% said we don't want the efficiency of the government and the compassion of the IRS running our health care system, and to spend trillions of dollars with no budget for over 1,000 days. All of these things are so important, but they start with an understanding of who we are as a people and where our liberty comes from and the source of why America is the greatest nation in the world.
Congressman, one of the things you'll have to confront is the lack of funding that you'll get from the party. At least that's what they're saying. You've had calls from the NRSC, the National Republican Senatorial Committee. I think they were going to commit to, I can't remember if I heard $5 million. They said that's not going to happen. Crossroads USA, the PAC created by Karl Rove and Ed Gillespie, that funding is being pulled. We're talking probably $9-10 million that had been committed to this race that they've said isn't going to come. Will you be able to gather enough resources? How will you be able to finance a campaign with the loss of those kinds of funds being withdrawn?
Well, what we're seeing right now is a tremendous outpouring of support from a whole lot of just regular small people. They're not the big party people, and they're not the guys that can write the $1 million checks. But on the other hand, there is an active and an engaged and committed grassroots movement to stand up for what America, the total of America, of what it's about and who we are as a people. And we believe that by taking this stand, that this is going to strengthen our country. It's going to strengthen, ultimately, the Republican Party, and I believe we can win this. I also noticed that there was a poll that came out and had me still a point ahead of Claire McCaskill. A lot of people said, oh, you can't possibly beat her. You know, people told me we couldn't possibly win the primary. We were outspent probably 10-1 in the media. We won by 6 points, and all the strategists and Republicans kind of scratching their head about that. Because we have a message that people understand. It isn't just something that's in the brain, it's in the heart. You know, it's ironic that this guy who's an engineer and a Presbyterian is talking about talking to the heart, but boy, we need to know that as Republicans. We make that mistake so often.
Congressman Todd Akin, my guest here on the Mike Huckabee Show, and he is telling us here first. The country's been kind of waiting to hear, Congressman, what you're going to do, and you've told us you're staying in this thing. You know you're going to get hammered relentlessly, not just by Claire McCaskill, your opponent in the Senate race, but by the media, and obviously now by many people in the Republican Party and leadership positions. My understanding is there's going to be a press conference, if it hadn't already happened, with 4 current and or former senators of Missouri. Speak to the overwhelming kind of wall that has been placed in front of you.
Well, certainly the institutional side of the party is very lined up. I do receive continuing calls from other congressmen and people who are very supportive of what we're trying to do. And I guess my question is there a matter of some justice here? That I misspoke one word in one sentence in one day, and all of a sudden, overnight, everybody decides, well, Akin can't possibly win. Well, I don't agree with that. The Americans that I know, the people I know in Missouri, when you make a mistake, nobody expects us to get every word perfectly. And you tell them you're sorry, you look them in the eye and say, I didn't mean to hurt anybody, I really didn't. And yet, on the other hand, there's a cause here. There's a cause about the very heart of what America is. And to water that down and to avoid talking about that and the importance of the foundation of what our freedom rests on is we're missing part of what needs to be part of this dialogue. And I think that that you will see over time that there will be a great deal of grassroots support for that type of a campaign, and then we'll see exactly where the polling data shows within a month or so here.
You know, Congressman, I would like to ask you if you could stay over during the break and let me continue, because there's a few more questions that I want to get to. But I wanted to give you at least one little piece of good news. Of all the negative things that have been said, and there have been many, there was one, frankly, gracious comment that came from all circles from Claire McCaskill. And I wanted to let you hear it and see if you would react to it.
You know, Congressman Aiken and I disagree on some things, but he is sincere. And while I disagreed with what he said, he has now, just in the last few hours, really apologized for what he said.
You know, that's probably the nicest thing I've heard, and that came from your opponent. No Republican has been so gracious. Were you surprised at her comment there?
Well, I think Claire and I, we've passed back and forth on airplanes together for many years, and I think we understand that she and I are just totally opposites. You know,
well,
she says there's a little
Congressman,
difference.
hang on there. Hang on to that thought. We're going to have to go to the break, but when we come back, we'll keep you on the line, and we've got some more questions, and we'll talk more with Congressman Todd Aiken right here on the Mike Huckabee Show.
What if you could protect your family from anywhere? Tell your front door to lock itself. Check on the kids with live video. Now you can with Vivint. Simple, affordable home security.